the morning show. What a great pleasure for us to be here with you as you start your day. Yes, indeed. We have top stories from the region and around the world. What's the latest from South Korea after President Yoon Suk-yeol's failed attempt to implement martial law in the country? What is the future for Syria post Assad's flight from the country? Also, yesterday, massive fires have engulfed 200 homes in Kemayoran, Jakarta, and many, many more. And we also have a couple of discussions coming your way. And one of them is on the homegrown game called Luwak Bandit that invites players to explore a world where endemic animals, particularly the clever luwak, emerge as unsung heroes in the struggle against colonialism. We will bring you all that in the next 3 hours. And of course, I am here with my beloved colleagues, Karina and Archie. Good morning, friends.
Good morning. We saw lots of things happening this week.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Indeed.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. And folks, good morning, good morning. I'm your host, Archie Pramaswara. And in addition to what Marissa just said, we'll also have special talk shows. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And as always, you can connect with us on our social media at See Today News on Instagram, X, and also YouTube.
That is right. And good morning. I'm your host, Karina Bestrewan. I would like to say good morning to our friends who are now tuning in from Foxtel/Australia, Macau Cable TV Channel 84, Vision Philippines Channel 58, Air Cable Philippines, and if you're in Singapore, Singtel Singapore Channel 50, and StarHub Channel 720. All right, folks, as Marissa have mentioned, our long list of updates and activities this morning. Let us first start the show with our headlines. Marissa.
Yes, Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto has handed over the state budget allocation list to state officials. He emphasized budget efficiency.
Syrians celebrated the fall of Bashar Assad at the central Umayyad Square in Damascus, Syria on Tuesday.
The South Korean parliament passed a motion to appoint an independent special counsel to investigate President Yoon Suk-yeol and top government officials.
And the police in central Jakarta are currently investigating the massive blaze in the Kemayoran district that has left many homes a smoking ruin. And we start our first story from Syria. Syrians waved the revolutionary flag at the central Umayyad Square in Damascus, Syria, Tuesday to celebrate the fall of Bashar Assad.
Hundreds of Syrians returned to the country from Lebanon on Tuesday. It was the third consecutive day of their journey with long queues of cars at the border crossing.
Additional Lebanese security forces and army patrols were deployed to the Masna checkpoint, which is the only operational crossing point between Lebanon and Syria.
Displaced Syrians carry bags and drag their luggage at the crossing. Some cross the border on foot, and while many are returning home for the first time in years, others remain uncertain about the potential impact of recent instability in the country.
Assad's nearly 14-year-long rule ended on Sunday when he fled the country. His reign was defined by civil war and regional conflicts. As such, the collapse of his government has brought joy to many.
Syrian government officials under Bashar Assad are now set to gradually transfer power to a new transitional cabinet under Mohammed al-Bashir.
He told reporters that ministers have discussed transferring portfolios to the interim government. This is set to take place during the transitional period, which will last until early March of next year.
اليوم تم عقد جلسة مجلس الوزراء ضمت فريق العامل في حكومة الإنقاذ السورية اللي كانت عاملة في منطقة إدلب وما حولها، بالإضافة إلى الحكومة السورية للنظام المخلوع. عنوان الجلسة هي عبارة عن نقل مؤسسات والملفات من حكومة النظام المخلوع إلى حكومة السورية المؤقتة من أجل استلام هذه الملفات وتسيير الأعمال. يعني راح تكون حكومة سورية لتسيير الأعمال خلال فترة انتقالية إن شاء الله ممكن تنتهي في 1/3 بإذن الله. هذا تكليف كان من قبل القيادة العامة، تم تكليفنا بتسيير الأعمال للحكومة السورية.
And still from the region, the Israeli military released several videos on Tuesday which they claim show Israeli strikes against Syria, including the port of Latakia.
According to the Syrian opposition War Monitor, Israel conducted a wave of heavy airstrikes across Syria while their troops advanced deeper into the country.
Israel acknowledged that their forces were pushing to a buffer zone within Syria after President Assad was overthrown. However, it remains unclear if Israeli soldiers had gone beyond the area, which was established more than 50 years ago. Israel also denied that their forces were advancing against the Syrian capital of Damascus.
Israeli officials have claimed that they only conducted airstrikes against military targets, including heavy weapons and suspected chemical weapon sites, as well as air defense locations. They said that the airstrikes were done to prevent such facilities from falling into the hands of the Syrian opposition group. Photographs have also circulated online which displayed destroyed missile launchers, helicopters, and warplanes.
Heavy airstrikes were heard until Tuesday morning. Any military movement can spark regional fear since the area is filled with many geopolitical lines. The buffer zone itself is barely 60 kilometers from Damascus and only a few kilometers from Israeli territory.
Now to give you an update on the South Korean bill appointment, that the South Korean parliament passed a motion on Tuesday to appoint an independent special counsel to investigate President Yoon Suk-yeol and top government officials. This follows the introduction of martial law in the country earlier this month.
The motion was submitted by the main opposition, the Democratic Party, and was passed by 210 votes to 63 with 14 abstentions. Lawmakers also approved a bill demanding the immediate arrest of President Yoon and officials as well who were involved in the martial law decree.
It was the first time martial law was declared in the country in over 40 years. Although it only lasted for about 6 hours, it sparked widespread protests and intense domestic backlash. This has caused Yoon and his associates to face criminal investigations and impeachment attempts.
The Justice Ministry has also banned Yoon and 8 others from traveling outside the country as authorities consider them to be key suspects in the case. It is the first time a sitting South Korean president has been subjected to such ban.
Meanwhile, the Seoul Central District Court announced that they are currently reviewing a request from prosecutors to issue an arrest warrant for former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun. He's been accused of recommending martial law to President Yoon and sending troops to block lawmakers from voting. He's been detained since Sunday, and should the warrant come through, he would be the first to be arrested in the case.
이번 수정안에서는 윤석열 대통령을 추가해 체포 대상을 7명에서 윤석열 대통령을 포함한 8명으로 수정했습니다. 윤석열 대통령 이하 내란 범죄 가담자들이 우리 사회에 끼치는 혼란을 최소화하고 대외적으로 대한민국의 신뢰도를 회복하기 위해서라도 의결에 동참해 주시길 간곡히 바랍니다.
So why was Yoon feeling pressured that he decided to implement the martial law in South Korea around last month? So according to the BBC, Yoon was voted into office in May 2022 as a hardline conservative, but has been an ineffectual president since April when the opposition won a landslide in the country's general election. So his government since then has not been able to pass the bills they wanted and have been reduced instead to vetoing bills passed by the liberal opposition. And he has also seen a fall in approval ratings hovering around lows of 17% as he's been mired in several corruption scandals this year, including one involving the First Lady accepting a Dior bag and another around alleged stock manipulation. So just last month, he was forced to issue an apology on national TV, saying he was setting up an office overseeing the First Lady's duties, but he rejected a wider investigation, which opposition parties had been calling for. And just last week, the opposition proposed slashing a major government budget bill, which cannot be vetoed. At the same time, the opposition also moved to impeach cabinet members and several top prosecutors, including the head of the government's audit agency, for failing to investigate the First Lady.
That's right. Now, although it only lasted 6 hours, as mentioned, Marissa, it's as if it's opened Pandora's box with the after effects. But we'll keep you updated on South Korea. Momentarily, we'll shift our focus to the United States, where firefighters battle a wildfire in Malibu, California, while authorities issue warnings and evacuation orders for thousands of residents.
The flames approached seaside mansions and the Pepperdine University, which students used as a shelter as of Monday night.
Officials said that a minimal number of homes were burned on Tuesday, but the exact figure was not immediately available. Wildfire also threatens more than 8,100 homes and structures, while over 2,000 residents have been evacuated.
Pepperdine University announced on Tuesday morning that the worst of the fire had passed the campus. However, the cause of the blaze remains unknown.
Police in central Jakarta are investigating the massive blaze in Kemayoran district that has left many homes a smoking ruin. No casualties have been reported from the incident so far.
On Tuesday, officers combed the site for clues, including the spot where the fire broke out, and found no victims.
The fire is believed to have been triggered by a leaking gas cylinder. The number of buildings affected have been reported to be over 100 homes across 4 neighborhoods.
Sementara ini masih dalam proses pendinginan maupun proses penyelidikan dari Polsek Kemayoran. Terdata sementara ini jumlah dari rumah itu 5 ini 4 RT, jadi ratusan rumah. Sementara ini masih dalam penyelidikan, asal api dari mana dalam proses penyelidikan.
We have news from Down Under, where Australia has banned social media for everyone under the age of 16.
The new law follows concerns over the mental health of the youth.
Social media, while it connects us, teaches us, and entertains us, it certainly has its harms too. For example, constant exposure to online content has for many led to poor self-esteem or shortened attention spans, with young people often being the most vulnerable to these harms. It's why the Australian government has just banned social media for all people under the age of 16. We got the reactions of parents, teachers, and young people.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Could you tell me a reason why you think that's a good idea?
I just think it's a bit harmful for